Finally, during evaluation stage of production, we relied very heavily on digital media technologies and were dependent on Web2, Dr. O'Reilly 2004 technologies to assist us. In order to be able to gain feedback to fulfill question 3, what have you learned from your audience feedback, of our evaluation, we used a range of online tools and techniques. This ensured that the feedback was unbiased and representative of our target audience. The first example of this was to distribute both of our ancillary products and our video to our audience using social networking sites such as Facebook and Twitter. We created a promotional account for the artist on both these sites. This meant he could connect with his audience and fans at the Global Village, McLuhan, 1968, and gain feedback about the products we had created. This method of interaction with an audience is something that would not have been possible without Web2, Dr. O'Reilly 2004, as we were required to upload visual media which would not have been available on Read/WriteWeb, Web 1, Tim Berners-Lee, 1995. In order to monitor our responses and feedback, and to maintain the two sites and keep them active and interesting, we had to update them frequently. To do this, we used both Facebook and Twitter on our portable devices. This is an example of technological convergence, David Butler, 1985, as I personally use my Apple iPhone 4 to access the Facebook and Twitter apps, which allowed me to update both pages on a regular basis and interact with the audience in this persona of the artist, Tom Hemingway. We also use YouTube to distribute our product to an audience. This added to their already prominent body of UGC which exists online. Many audience members create their own products in order to acquire feedback and to build a repertoire of work. Maker Culture, Anderson 2012, Craftsmanship, Senate 2008. Furthermore, there is a heavy build of UMVs, Milstein 2008, found online, especially on sites such as YouTube. So we conducted research into how these individual audience members that were taking on the role of producer, Tapscott and Williams, Consumer Becomes Producer 2006, promoted their work and themselves via social networking/websites and general branding/brand identity. Once we had acquired textual feedback from our audience members in response to our postings of our product, we could divide these into set categories and tally our answers. This could then be interpreted by using www.onlinecharttool.com, which presented us with the visual data in which we could clearly see correlations, patterns and relationships between respondents and their answers. This allowed us to get a better idea of what our target audience thought of our product. We then created a focus group of those who gave the most appropriate, realistic and honest answers. With this group, we handed out questionnaires. These were created using www.surveymonkey.com, which entailed questions about colour schemes, use of photography and post-production aspects such as Photoshop. These audience members were predominantly other A-level media students, as these were the most experienced and had the most knowledge about how to create a professional print piece. We not only handed out questionnaires to these candidates, but we also discussed the product with them. This style of communication meant we could really learn about the ideas and opinions of our potential audience members in regards to the product. This feedback was given from the questionnaires, could have easily been read and interpreted, as it was predominantly quantitative data, which could be easily broken down to categories and presented visually on www.onlinecharttool.com, allowing us to clearly see how our product was received. The qualitative data gained from the interview method of communication was hard to analyse, but produced much more honest and rich data, which showed the true feelings of candidates. This was documented in a similar way to the quantitative data. However, it was hard to analyse, but produced a similar result. Once this visual feedback, graphs, particularly pie charts, had been acquired, we could see clear relationships, and this constructed feedback meant we could make any amendments or changes which would improve our work. In order to then write the evaluation for this product, I used Microsoft Word. This allowed me to write up all the information required. I was not restricted to a word limit, and I could also create an essay plan, which gave me a clear direction and structure to follow, which made it easier to fill out the bullet points I had created to guide me with information explaining how each aspect worked in context to the piece. The use of Microsoft Word also meant I could correct my spelling and grammar. Small errors can look highly unprofessional when evaluating and analysing a media product, especially when the text will appear on screen when the files have been created on Windows Movie Maker, non-linear editing software, Gauntlet 07, Taos 02. It would have been very distracting if a noticeable spelling or grammar error was present. Lastly, in order to construct the evaluation videos, I use Windows Movie Maker, non-linear editing software, Gauntlet 07, Taos 02, as this allowed me to arrange and present data in an organised and stylised manner, and allowed me to add an audio tape of me narrating the timeline, which made it much easier to view and understand. Using Windows Movie Maker made it easier for me to add both images and audio and combine them in order to make it visually interesting and appealing for whoever may have to watch it. Once the files I had created had been turned from Movie Maker file into WMV file, I could upload these onto my YouTube channel, which meant if anything ever happened to the original files on my computer, they were still accessible and could be viewed. I made sure I locked these videos so that not everyone could see them. This meant there would be no risk of anyone plagiarising my work. Once the videos were on YouTube, they could be embedded onto my Posterous blog, where they could be captioned and organised accordingly.